first question for you is, before someone buys their first short-term rental, do you think that subletting is the test run that nobody talks about?
It's not really a test run,
Okay.
per se. If you get a lease, right, you still have essentially debt service that you have to cover. So, there's still risk. 12-month lease, you own it. And, so test run, not necessarily. But I think the best thing with any type of investment is, particularly real estate, you jump in and do it. You give it a shot and just make sure you have an exit strategy. And so you don't lose your.
What are your thoughts if someone is renting their property and maybe they don't own something right now, but they want to get into short-term investing? They ask their landlord to let them Airbnb the home they're renting. What's the right way for someone to do that, to pitch that to the landlord without sounding shady?
So a property that you're already renting.
Yes.
And like when you go out on vacation or, it's a big holiday in your city or your town, you're going to leave and rent it out.
Yes.
That's a great question. I have not thought about that from a renter's perspective.
Mm-hmm.
I thought about it from a primary ownership perspective.
Okay.
But me as a long-term rental landlord, I would probably say no.
Okay.
Just my initial thoughts there. I'm sure there is a conversation that could be had. There's probably even the possibility of somebody putting it on Airbnb and you as the owner, landlord, not even knowing, especially if it's only a couple times a year. That would be a very tricky situation. And I would assume we could ask Kim on this, but that some lease updates would have to be made.
Oh, yeah,
sure.
Absolutely. I mean, okay, so as not a renter, but as an owner, what kind of profit split for you, if you were the landlord, would make you consider saying yes?
That's a good way to phrase it in the terms of if you built the lease around making something off the NOI, right?
Mm-hmm.
However, you could just raise the rent standard. So if you're going to rent the house out for $5,000, let's make it $6,500 and we'll call it a day.
Yeah.
That's what I would do, take the guarantee there, because risking your property to be managed by another investor and risking your income based on their success. Now, it could be one of those things where they turn into the greatest, Airbnb short-term rental manager on the planet.
But it's a risk.
It is a risk. So I would just take maybe potentially a larger monthly.
If someone is furnishing their Airbnb on a budget, where would you actually shop first? Facebook Marketplace, Amazon, IKEA?
If you want a cohesive design and, a photogenic, marketable home, you're going to want some things to match to a degree. And you can find good one-off pieces, but when you're buying so much furniture for an entire home, just imagine a 5-bedroom house, indoor, outdoor, you getting one piece of furniture off Facebook Marketplace probably isn't going to be worth your time when you need to order hundreds of items and get it there as soon as possible, get it set up and running. So, and also Amazon offers a warranty. It's like a monthly subscription. Mm-hmm. It's like $16.99.
Mm-hmm.
And it covers a majority of all of those items.
That's great.
For example, we have some arcade games at ours. I originally got them from Best Buy.
Yeah.
And if you don't purchase the extended Geek Squad warranty, it's only 90-day warranty. Well, it broke on day 100.
Oh no!
Right? And they're like $6.
Best Buy.
Well, it's not, I assume it was not their fault, but because it worked.
That timing is so sus.
Right? Planned obsolescence. But I turned around and bought the exact same thing on Amazon, and it was covered by that $16.99.
That's great.
Warranty. So that's another reason why I would tend to go to Amazon, and they have such a good return policy. It's right as well.
Yeah, that's true.
So I would start with Amazon.
What do you think about IKEA?
I would probably start with Amazon. No, IKEA is fine.
I like IKEA. I just don't want to build any of that.
Well, that's a great question, because even Amazon or any other store, Wayfair, right? Because we are pet friendly, so we did get some dog type furniture from Wayfair, and you have to assemble it. But if you're doing a renovation on the home already, probably the best time saver or way to put your time in dollars is asking your contractor to assemble that when they show up.
That makes sense.
And that's what we did.
Yeah.
They charged an hourly rate and they set everything up.
Worth it.
And they placed it where we told them to.
Good. Yeah. Totally worth it. I love it. What pieces are worth buying cheap versus what should never be bargain hunted? Please don't bargain hunt a mattress.
Well, yeah, for sure. That's the one I was going to say. Because I was honestly thinking, if you're going to go, we have these exact chairs in Airbnb.
They're good chairs.
So they look nice. They're kind of comfortable, kind of not.
Yeah.
So furniture is going to get worn very quickly. That rugs, we had a rug. I don't know if it was throw up or somebody spilled a weird drink or something, but it was awful. So you got to throw it away and get a new one.
Yeah.
So especially anything that can get stained, it's just bound to happen. So I would go cheaper, probably.
It could break, like glassware.
So you can get decently looking plasticware that looks like glass.
Yeah.
Depends on the market you're going after for your Airbnb.
Yep.
But the one thing I would definitely not skimp on would be any major amenity, like a hot tub, sauna, and then mattresses as well. Yeah,
that makes sense. Yeah, because the last thing you want is like, the perk of the property is like this great hot tub and then doesn't even work, or
you got in the hot tub to relax. And then you get in the bed, and now your back's messed up again because of the mattress.
Exactly. This is something I always wonder about as a renter or someone who's staying in an Airbnb myself. Where is the line between protecting your property and creeping out your guests?
It can happen quickly to creep out your guests. I mean, if you think you put a camera on every entry door, front facing, side facing, rear facing, you have other cameras out on outdoor decks or patios. You have them on the driveway, so on and so forth, where the guest is going to feel like they're just being constantly watched the entire time. It's creepy, kind of feels like a horror movie about to happen. So really, I think if you have your main entrance, a camera there, because there are sometimes issues with door codes.
Totally.
So you can talk them through of that. So a benefit for both there, and then also depending on maybe how the exterior, like driveway, where that's located. Sometimes just making sure that the amount of guests that they said are there. Some places are really strict with the occupancy limits, but that would be those two: driveway, front door, and let them be.
Okay. I really like that. What is your ideal setup? Cameras, smart locks, automations. What have you learned the hard way?
It's a benefit to have the smart locks on all exterior doors. And it also on any interior owner closets. So if you have like underneath the stair storage, you put a smart lock on that as well. So you can either store personal things there or just additional items for the home, supplies, paper towels, those sort of things.
Yeah.
And if something happens, you can always give that code to your guest. Oh, you're in out, you need something. Hey, we have extra here.
Got it.
So those for the locks, and then really camera at the front door and camera at the driveway. Other than that, I wouldn't
Motion sensors in the house?
I would not. No. It's just creepy, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And because you want a 5-star experience for your guests. Yes. And them feeling like they're being watched the whole time is just not relaxing in the least. Even having the a security system where when you open the door, it chimes, or front door open, back door open. It's just not very relaxing if you're thinking about vacation, in my opinion.
Yeah. No, I love that. I think that's a really thoughtful answer. And if I really put myself in that position too, I agree. Yep. I completely agree. What is one renovation you would always do for a short-term rental or even a long-term rental, and one that you'd never waste $1 on?
So for short-term rental, I really like a nice outdoor space. No matter the market, some people are going to say ski season in other markets, but most markets, are centered around summertime. Kids are out of school, more flexibility on travel.
Mm-hmm.
So a nice outdoor space, I think, is one that you're going to get your return on. And then one I wouldn't really worry about would probably be bathrooms. Now, you need a clean, presentable product, but outside of that, you don't need to go ham on a bathroom.
Okay, that's really good to know. What are these silent killers in Airbnb expenses?
There are really like an unlimited amount of expenses, it feels like, when owning a short-term rental. But it can come to what you are offering for your guests. Some owners love to offer a gift basket as soon as the group shows up. Certain supplies you can have at the house, whether it be coffee, as minimal as coffee.
Yeah.
Do you offer unlimited, or do you offer a K-cup for when they arrive? Something like that. So these items can tick up really quickly. But I would say one of the most silent killers is just routine maintenance, whether that be pest control, hot tub cleanings, of course, any other standard home things, but maintenance on hot tubs, saunas, and just amenities that get used quite often, that can tick up pretty quickly.
Is this because those surfaces are being utilized more frequently than they would on like a home you're just using as a primary residence?
Yeah, because primary residence, you're probably not cleaning your hot tub every time you use it.
Yeah.
But when there's a guest turnover, you're cleaning it every time.
Right.
So that one sneaks in there. Yeah.
I can imagine. So moving more specifically in the Shenandoah region, how important is acreage for short-term rental properties?
All depends.
Okay.
If you are at a resort market, Bryce Resort, Bassinet Resort, Wintergreen Resort, does not matter. Pretty much you're going to have a neighbor to either side of you, maybe behind you, in front of you. So really not a lot of privacy. There are some sections of each resort where there aren't any homes into the rear, which is very nice. Or if it's maybe tilted on a cul-de-sac, you have what I call resort privacy, which is nice, not very private, but it's a little more than most homes.
Yeah.
And then when you get more towards what I call more specifically the Shenandoah National Park markets, Page County in particular, if most owners don't really do anything with the acreage, it's a nice to have. I think what I've seen more commonly than not, the more acreage you have, the more it opens the possibility up for a view for that property. It seems like the properties that have larger acreages have a view, which is the most important thing in those.
If at all, how does having more acreage affect the need for nearby attractions and amenities?
Are you saying like, if you have a lot of acreage, they can just go there and stay there?
Right, like is the idea like having a bunch of acreage mean like, okay, they might want to spend more time at the property, so let's pump up the property with like tons of amenities, or that's kind of where I'm going with that.
Gotcha. Some do that, like you have like a little farm, you have horses or goats that the kids can go feed or pet or chickens and things like that. But it's another expense, right? It's a lot of upkeep, and I think it's extra liability that's not needed. And then you would need to ask yourself, am I a farmer or am I an Airbnb owner?
Yeah. Yeah, totally. That makes sense. Once you've hosted a ton of guests, there's probably a ton of things you learn along the way that Google does not tell you. What were some of those lessons for you?
I guess two lessons. First one is being responsive. Be as responsive in a timely manner as you can. If a guest says they're a problem, take care of it as soon as possible. It's not always true, but it just shows, that you're trying to fix. For example, we had an issue where somebody said that like our house was full of ants. And the way they described it, it was like from a Stephen King book or something. And had the pest guy go out that day, and there was no ants.
Okay.
But being proactive, because you don't want ants in your property anyways, even if they are there. And then the other was we had I don't know exactly what they're called, but it's like a triple lock door, hinges at the top, middle, and the bottom. And there weren't a lot of available smart locks for these, and the one we got was pretty impossible to operate.
Oh, no.
And it honestly just didn't work. So we had to get an entire new front door that was custom ordered to match what we had existing.
God.
And then when it came in, it was the wrong size. So we ended up getting just kind of like a standard door. But yeah, that was I would replace those locks immediately if I had those.
Oh, wow.
It was awful.
So now we're going to get into our last segment, a bit more like hot take questions.
Good.
So millennials, we are in our 30s and 40s, and we look great. We're in our prime buying years, they say. Do you think our buying power is permanently delayed, or is there a wave coming?
There's a lot of factors that go into that, especially from a national market perspective.
Yeah.
Location. I mean, that's going to determine the price more than anything.
Yeah.
Like, I got my first house at 24, and it was $135,000.
Yeah.
Right. That doesn't exist anymore. Right. So you either move, either relocate, or the one thing that seems to fix a lot of problems is make more money.
Yeah. Make more money, guys. A 50-year mortgage. As an investor, what are your thoughts? Is this a genius move, or is this a long-term trap?
Yeah, I think it could easily be a trap.
Yeah.
You were just talking about millennials in our 30s and 40s.
Yeah.
That's us in our 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
In 50 years. You're going to be
if we even make it till then.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to be transferring that debt, to your heirs, and yeah. I think it could easily become that. And then just like some real back of the napkin math, I'll use $100,000 for an example.
Mm-hmm.
It changes your monthly by like $50.
Yeah, not even that
$45
much.
depending on your interest rate, but the life.
You're paying so much more interest over
So
the life
much
alone.
more. So much more. So I think it could easily become a trap. Now, if there are different like terms on how like you can get into the property
mm-hmm.
with that 50-year, and there are some cost savings there, or like a credit or however that pans out, that could be very beneficial. And then you can always refi.
Sure.
But it seems very odd that the 30-year would become more like the current 15-year.
Yeah. Big institutional investors are buying single-family homes in suburban markets. Is that a sign that you should be joining them, or a red flag for small independent investors?
Probably a little bit of both.
Okay.
There's always opportunity in the market if you're searching, but those big institutional investors are going to buy where they think is best, right? And manipulate the market a little bit. But if you're a part of that manipulation, congratulations.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
If we can't beat them, join them. This one makes me a little bit sad, but remote work seems to be shrinking, a little bit as the pandemic days get further behind us. Does that hurt destination markets that grew during the pandemic from what you're seeing?
I think specifically what it has hurt is with the pandemic and remote work. Also, you got to remember a lot of people weren't working. The unemployment package that they did was some people were making more of that than they were at their actual job.
Yeah.
But what I've seen is the properties that aren't up to par with the market that they're in, that's the ones that it has affected the most. There was so much travel then that it was just like if you listed it, it was going to get rented. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't want to use the word saturation, but the competitiveness of some of these markets has really increased because of that. And if you've kept your property the same over the past 5 years, you would have probably seen a decrease in revenue.
Wow. Okay. That makes sense. With interest rates finally easing a little bit, do you think that new short-term rental hosts should jump in now, or do you think they should wait? What's the smarter move here?
Yeah, so we always say it's better to have time in the market than timing the market, because you're never going to time the market perfectly.
Last question. If interest rates dropped to the low 4s again, do you think the market gets healthier or absolute chaos all over again?
That's a really good question. I think there would be some chaotic markets for sure, but there are still people. You would still have to have the supply, right? The demand would be there, but the supply would have to be there. You still have people who have interest rates in the 2s.
Yeah.
Probably not selling. You know? So if it's all would depend on the supply.